Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardha Hari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardha Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardha Hari. Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanacharya. Yamuna Tira Vanacharya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtata Satishta A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki Nama Acharya Srila Haridasa Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Mayapur Dham ki Ganga Maya ki Yamuna Maya ki Tulasi Deva ki Jai Bhakti Deva ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki Lord Chaitanya Harinama Sankirtan ki Brihat Madanga ki Shri Prabhupada ki Shri Sri Radha Govinda ji ki Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki ji Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Shri Vidaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Pastachare Shatarine. Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Daksha is cursing Lord Shiva and counter cursing and whatever going on here. And today we're reading text 28 of the second chapter of the fourth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is that right? 28? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Bhava Vrata Dara Ye Cha Ye Cha Tan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sach Shastra Paripantinaha Bhava Vrata Dara Ye Cha Ye Chatan Samonuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha Bhava Vratadara Yecha Ye Chatan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha Bhava Vratadara Yecha Ye Chatan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha Bhavadadarayecha Ye Chatan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha Bhavavratadarayecha Ye Chatan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha Bhavavratadarayecha Ye Chatan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha. Ladies. Bhavavratadarayecha Ye Chatan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha Ye Chatan Samanuvrataha Pashandinas Te Bhavantu Sachastra Paripantinaha Bhava Vrata Daraha. Taking a vow to satisfy Lord Shiva.
Taking a vow to satisfy Lord Shiva.
Yea, who, cha, and, yea, who, cha, and, tan, such principles. Samanuvataha, following. Pashandinaha, atheists. Te, they. Bhavantu, let them become. Sat Shastra Paripantinaha, diverted from transcendental scriptural injunctions. Hare Krishna. So the followers of Bhrigu Muni are now cursing. One who takes a vow to satisfy Lord Shiva, or who follows such principles, will certainly become an atheist and be diverted from transcendental scriptural injunctions. Purport. It is sometimes seen that devotees of Lord Shiva imitate the characteristics of Lord Shiva. For example, Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison. So some of the followers of Lord Shiva imitate him and try to take intoxicants like ganja, marijuana. Here the curse is that if someone follows such principles, he must become an infidel and turn against the principles of Vedic regulation. It is said that such devotees of Lord Shiva will be such shastra paripantinaha, which means opposed to the conclusions of shastra or scripture. This is confirmed in the Padma Purana also. Lord Shiva was ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to preach the impersonal or Mayavad philosophy for a particular purpose. Just as Lord Buddha preached the philosophy of voidness for particular purposes mentioned in the Shastras. Sometimes it is necessary to preach a philosophical doctrine which is against the Vedic conclusions. In the Shiva Purana it is stated that Lord Shiva said to Parvati that in the Kali Yuga, in the body of a Brahmana, he would preach the Mayavad philosophy. Thus it is generally found that the worshippers of Lord Shiva are Mayavadi followers. Lord Shiva himself says, Mayavadam asach shastram. Asach shastra, as explained here, means the doctrine of Mayavad, impersonalism, or becoming one with the Supreme. Bhrigu cursed that persons who worship Lord Shiva will become followers of this Mayavad Asat Shastra, which attempts to establish that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is impersonal. Besides that, amongst the worshippers of Lord Shiva, there is a section who live a devilish life. Srimad Bhagavatam and Narada Pancharatra are authorized scriptures that are considered such shastra, or scriptures which lead one to the path of God realization. Such shastras are just the opposite. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. Hare Krishna. So the cursing is now continuing after Daksha's original anger and his cursing Lord Shiva that he would not be able to take any of the remnants from the yajna. He would not be entitled. All the demigods are entitled to receive a share of the remnants from various yajnas. But he said that Lord Shiva from now on will not be eligible to receive a share, and he stormed out of the assembly. Because of that, of course, Nandishwar then cursed back at the Brahmins. You will become attached to the fruitive aspect. You will lose all transcendental knowledge. Daksha will soon receive the head of a goat. He cursed back. And so now the Brahmins are cursing back at Lord Shiva's followers. Both Daksha and Lord Shiva have left the scene. So the followers are now fighting over this situation. And in today's verse, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes you could see the actual result of this curse in one sense, how they become giving up Vedic principles. imitation of the behavior of Lord Shiva. We're supposed to follow in the footsteps. So some people say that means to say, just like with Lord Krishna, sometimes people say, well, he was we hear this from offenders sometimes, he was a debaucher. He was having affairs with other people's wives. So what's the problem? Well, there are many aspects to that. One time Srila Prabhupada was challenged with that aspect, or that challenge. And Srila Prabhupada, because the man was an Indian man, he said, well, you accept that Bhagavan is the supreme, that he's the proprietor of everything. That's what it states. Yes, but why is he doing like this? Well, if everything belongs to God, and Krishna is God, then everything belongs to him, right? You belong to him too. Your wife belongs to him also. But you're claiming she's your wife. You're claiming you have the rights to whatever. Enjoy, whatever you call it. But actually you are the debaucher, because she belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. We don't imitate. And even still people say, well, he had 16,108 wives. People sometimes criticize that, right? So what is that? Where do you find that information? In the same place you see that if you want to have 16,108 wives as well, then you expand yourself. If you're envious of Krishna, he expanded himself 16,108 times to be with each and every wife. Can you do that? No, we can't. It's the same principle as Ravana mentality. We want to have the kingdom of God without God. We want to enjoy Sita without Ram, Lakshmi without Narayan. This is the mentality. And here also, they want to try to enjoy so-called, whatever mode of ignorance they're in, intoxications. Lord Shiva swallowed the ocean of poison, but can we swallow an ocean of poison? No, can't even swallow one tiny drop. You take one drop of arsenic, we'll be dead. Isn't it? Or overdose of some heroin or something. Dead. And we try to imitate like that. We want the fruit without the actual eligibility. And the other point mentioned here is, of course, Lord Shiva himself. All this is orchestrated, you could say, by the Lord. It's not just out of control exactly. The material energy is working under Krishna's Mayajikshena Prakriti Sute Sacharashram. Everything's working under his control ultimately. And this pastime is also so many lessons which you've already, I'm sure, gone through. But this whole pastime is, basically speaking, to facilitate the necessary. Just like Prabhupada describes in the purport, that sometimes it's necessary to preach against the, let's say, against Dharma, practically speaking. Sometimes that's required, and Prabhupada mentions Buddhism, for instance. We've probably all familiar with how Lord Buddha himself, of course he was a Hindu in one birth, but how he preached against, practically speaking, against the Vedas. Decried the Vedas for an obvious reason. He's an empowered form or empowered incarnation of Godhead to fulfill the mission of the Lord at that particular time. Time, place, and circumstance. The Lord preaches accordingly, just like a person may educate someone accordingly, or a doctor may deal with a patient according to their condition. You may not be able to give the full medicine at a certain point of time because the patient is very weak and needs to be, built up. You may not be able to tell a child the truth fully. Just like, Christmas, for instance. Father Christmas brings all the presents, but that's not exactly true. I mean, everybody knows it's the presents that you find at the bottom of your bed, if you do that sort of thing, are usually put there by your parents. You don't tell. There's different stages of education, growing up, educating a child. So in order to fulfill a particular purpose, sometimes the Lord has to seemingly preach, in the case of Lord Buddhism, atheism. Atheism. But there's a hidden, perhaps to most people, a hidden reason. He's establishing two things here. One, that people at that time, at least the Hindus, were misusing the Vedic directions and becoming completely implicated in various kinds of karmakandya activities, and specifically animal slaughter. And even beyond that, they're just basically doing it because they're becoming addicted to eating meat. Killing animals for our sense gratification. That's not the purpose of the Vedic injunctions. Sure, there are injunctions there for killing animals, but they're meant to be offered in sacrifice to rejuvenate the animal. They were always, and give the animal a new, fresh birth, progressing through the cycle of birth and death. Various reasons, there are injunctions there for the killing of animals, but it's not like now, slaughterhouses, you name it. Simply for sense gratification. It was for the benefit of the animal also. Of course, those are low-class people, infidels mentioned here, who will always have this tendency. They have no awareness of the soul. They have no awareness of the purpose of human life, and they misuse any kind of injunction to try to justify their activity. They don't follow direction. The whole purpose is to follow direction, to lead to an objective goal. It's not just to remain in one of the modes of nature. But there's a goal behind the Vedas. Vedaischa sarvaraham eva vedya. Vedanta krit veda videva chaham. It's to know Krishna. There's a purpose behind it. It's not just to facilitate. Same with Varnashram. It's not just to facilitate our, mundane desires and attachments. It's to help us to rise above that, to ultimately become a takpumbir dvija shrestha Varnashrama vibhagashaha. Svanustitasya dharmasya sangsiddhir haritoshnam. Is to bring us to the point of bringing pleasure to Krishna. So it may take stages, but the stage is not the goal. We may go through stages of education. The stage you go through is not the goal. You don't stay at a primary school. That's not the idea. The idea is to progress. The same thing in devotional service. The idea is not to stay forevermore addicted, sadhakas of a, mundane mechanical only. That must be there. Of course it has to be there to purify our senses. Columbus something, I couldn't hear. Huh? Yeah, just yesterday we were there. Huh? Columbus Circle? There were these crazy people dancing around. You won't believe it. All these mad people. I don't know if you've ever seen them in New York. I saw them in Union Square a few years ago, and yesterday I saw them in Columbus Circus as well. Oh, they're crazy. Smile. It must be probably on drugs anyway, probably. Dancing and swinging around and doing all kinds of crazy things, getting excited. They should be studying the Vedanta. You should go back to university, study, do something useful. You're wasting your time. Were you one of them? Were you one of them? Huh? He was one of them. I saw him there yesterday. He was the leader. He was the ringleader. He was the troublemaker. Causing so much trouble here in New York. Peaceful city, and you come along causing trouble. Some people say like that, huh? Other people, as soon as we arrived, within 30 seconds of arriving, it was funny. That was the only time I heard it. Two funny people came along and made some really, antagonistic comments, so to speak. One was of another religion and was rah, 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 rah. I can't remember what the other one was, some crazy person. Swearing, swear words, I can't handle it. It's too much. No! Disturbance. So, these crazy people. Why are you dancing and chanting like a madman? Prakashananda said, you're a crazy guy. I know, you mad followers, sentimentalists. You're misleading everyone. And Lord Chaitanya and they asked him, why are you doing this? Then Lord Chaitanya explained why, of course. Another story, isn't it? How his spiritual master instructed him. This age of Kali, you cannot study the Vedanta like that and come to the conclusion. You don't have the intelligence in this age. As Ram Roy Prabhu, it was so nice at the end when you sang, Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sango Pangasta Parshadam Yagyai Sankitanam Prayaya Jantihi Sumeda Shai. Sang it at the end of the Harinama, amongst other things. This age of Kali, who is the intelligent person? Is it one who knows all the scriptures, so to speak? One who really knows the scriptures, knows the purpose behind them, so he is intelligent. But most people don't. They come to the wrong conclusion, or only a partial conclusion. Intelligent persons worship the Lord in this age by, what do they do? Pardon? You were one of those troublemakers out there, I remember now. I saw you out there. You're another one of those crazy people. Huh? And you were one too. He was one as well. I don't know who else was one. Were you one of them? No. You were one? He was one of those crazy people out there as well. Jeez. I don't know why they let them carry on. They should be banned. What to do? You'll see. So you probably said something correct. Intelligent persons in this age of Kali worship the Lord by simple. Yajna, Sankirtanam prayer. Sankirtana. That's how we worship the Lord in Kali Yuga. Everything else is fine. But as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said, sadhana means, we all have sadhana, you're doing various things now. Some of you are making ghee wicks. What are you doing at the back there? No, at the very back. What?
Cutting some vegetables for the Bhog offering.
Cutting vegetables, okay, great, for the Bhog offering. What are you doing over there?
Packing up some books.
Packing up some books, okay. Mayavadi books, huh? Srila Prabhupada's books. Whoa, he's another troublemaker. Srila Prabhupada is the only one causing trouble in this world. Everyone else is just, surrendered basically to Kali and Maya's influences. Srila Prabhupada is the only revolutionary in the world today, challenging it. One time I was in Vrindavan, a long time, maybe 30 years ago, And there was one sannyasi from Gaudiya Math. And on Prabhupada's Tirubhav, which is coming very soon, he gave a talk. He spoke reasonable English. He said, Swami Maharaj, they call him Swami Maharaj. Can this come back a little bit? I'm going to have a little bit of a backrest, I'm afraid. Swami Maharaj, of all the followers of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, alone, he said, these are more or less his words, only really understood what was happening and what his Guru Maharaj wanted. While others were simply quarreling and discussing Vedanta or philosophy which they couldn't really understand practically, Swami Maharaj went to the Western world and challenged science and sense gratification. He alone stood up and fought against the influences of Kali Yuga, whether it's the Brahmins of Bhrigu Muni, sense gratification, or the impersonalist philosophy of Shankaracharya. Prabhupada challenged it all. Science is another offshoot of these two. Impersonalism, no God, godless society. And Prabhupada challenged it. What a challenge to make. He's the real revolutionary. We have the chance to assist him. So, where were we? We're back in Prakashananda Saraswati. We went somewhere else, I lost it. Another example. We'll read this verse. Shankaracharya, Lord Chaitanya then said, Shankaracharya is not at fault, for it is under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he has covered the real purpose of the Vedas. Under the Lord's order. Because people have become atheistic under Lord Buddha. Difficult to somehow, just like that, to re-accept a personal aspect of Godhead. Difficult. Atheism. The world is predominated by atheism. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said in this age of Kali, atheism will be the most prominent religion, if you want to call it that. I remember the point. Sorry about backtracking a little bit. But I was mentioning Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and how he said sadhana means that which helps us to develop our taste for chanting the holy name. If our sadhana does not evoke that attraction, it is an impediment on our path of devotion. Harinam Sankirtan is the only infallible means of success. It is the emperor of all sadhana. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasized, at least for the people in general, for everyone in different ways, but particularly for the people in general, the performance of congregational chanting of the holy name as the only means to eradicate all of these various illusions or ignorances which cover the world today, or any day come to that. He didn't go into very much emphasis on other paths, including daily worship. He emphasized Sankirtan. So that is our prime principle in intelligent persons. Whatever else we do, even Jiva Goswami describes in Bhakti Sandarbha, I think it is, how whatever service we do, it must be accompanied by Sankirtan. It's not just that, but it must be Kirtan, chanting must be there also, every service. Management. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to... When Prabhupada was in New Mayapur, 1976, in France, he asked the question, he said, are you doing Sankirtan here? And one devotee said, once a week, Srila Prabhupada. I said, why only once a week? Well, it's a long way to the town. It is an hour and a half almost to reach the nearest decent town. All the others are small villages. You can go anywhere. Lord Chaitanya said that, Prativiti Achiyati Nagarigram. But still, generally when you've got a big party of 50, 60 devotees, you like to go to a city. You know, if you go into a local village, You generally see only 5 or 6 people in a day, practically speaking. 50 devotees would be a little bit of an overkill, so to speak. You could go different villages. But anyway, they go to the city. So Prabhupada say, no. Why only once a week? And you do Sankirtan wherever you are. You do it here, right in this temple room, right in the farm, wherever you are. Sankirtan, chanting the holy names should go on all the time. That's their principle. This is how we can Manmana Bhava Bhakto said. How we can remember Krishna. Like together chanting. When I joined, it was like after the morning program, we had 5 classes a day. After the morning program, which is about 9 o'clock, everyone would, maybe 8:30, everyone would clean. And what's cleaning throughout the whole temple? There's a lot of service to do here in Radha Govinda temple. A lot of cleaning to be done. Everyone can be a part of this solution. Don't just say it's someone else's job. Put things in order. Don't just throw it out the door and hope that sometime someone somewhere in the future will move it or clean it or put it somewhere. Everyone can take the advantage of this. It's a glorious opportunity to get Lord Radha Govinda's mercy. Some are looking the opposite way, wondering what the heck's going on here. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, okay. So everyone can take part in this. It doesn't take a minute a day. Well, we had an organized situation. Everyone, temple, top to bottom, cleans for 20, 30 minutes a day. I'm not saying you should do that here, by the way, but we can all at least try to help the managers, help whoever's in responsible positions to, instead of, oh God, again, you have to find someone to do. We can all try to be a part of the solution and try to clean a little bit. A little bit, at least clean our own rooms, clean our own stuff, or clean the stairways or something. You feel much better, much more enthused. But that's not enough. Jiva Goswami says, it should be accompanied, because otherwise we start thinking I'm the doer or the non-doer. But chanting Hare Krishna helps to remind us we're not. We're the servants. Our business is to glorify Krishna, not just to purify our hearts or just attract attention or do what you're meant to do. Whatever that is, it is. But the real point is to please Krishna. And at our level of consciousness, at least we can understand Krishna likes to see the temple clean. Prabhupada likes to see everything clean. It's a mammoth task, we understand that, and you're in the process of renovation. And the temple management has a huge responsibility which they've taken on, and it's a glorious responsibility. Assist, everyone can be a part of this, whether you're working or studying or whether you're staying here. We can all help like this. Do whatever you can to keep clean. Bathrooms, toilets, everywhere. Try to keep clean. It's very important. Humility, consciousness, pleasing the Lord, attracting other people. Otherwise, the tendency is to attract people in the mode of ignorance. That's the danger too. I'm not saying, but we can do better. Put it like that. Let's work together and try to help to make things nicer. Well, it's 9 o'clock, and we'll read this other verse. Well, that's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying that Shankaracharya is not at fault, and there's another statement here, because he was ordered to do that by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here we find Lord Shiva is addressing, this is in the Madhya Lila, chapter 6, text 183. No, 181. Addressing Lord Shiva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Please make the general populace averse to me. By imagining your own interpretation of the Vedas. Also cover me in such a way that people will take more interest in advancing material civilization, just to propagate a population bereft of spiritual knowledge. That's what the Lord said to Lord Shiva. And then Lord Shiva informed Goddess Durga. In the age of Kali, I take the form of a Brahmin and explain the Vedas through false scriptures in an atheistic way similar to Buddhist philosophy. So these confirmations are there. This is the plan of the Lord. It's all part of it. But the cream on the cake, so to speak, is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sankirtan movement. He has come to bring everything, harmonize everything through Sankirtan. So the desire of Srila Prabhupada to bring this unity and diversity, to bring everyone together in Sankirtan. No matter what our conditioning, what our beliefs may or may not be, but to bring everyone together. And you can see that in the congregational chanting of the holy name, how drunkards, crazy people have, all sorts of people come together. And Rath Yatra particularly, I've seen how many times, and we probably have the same experience here, especially Muslim people, they join in. They love, I don't know, I only can say about where I'm experienced. I have no experience hardly in America, but in Europe and Australia, the most active in our kirtan, as far as the public goes, are the Muslims. They love to take pictures, they love to dance. And many of them throw in donations too. There's something there. Lord Chaitanya's movement is somehow or another is attractive. Even Lord Jagannath, and I'm sure everyone's had different experience, but I don't know how many, I don't think it's thousands, but there have been hundreds and hundreds of Rath Yatras over the last 53 years or whatever. Hundreds and hundreds. I mean, we have, in England we have 36 Rath Yatras a year in the UK. In Malaysia, which is a Muslim country, we have 32 Rath Yatras. I used to go to all of them at one time, or whatever we had then. In Delhi, they have about 35 Rath Yatras just in the city of Delhi. Far out, huh? Rath Yatra, Prabhupada said, with Rath Yatra festival and mass book distribution will conquer the world. So it's a big program too, Rath Yatra. In Australia, one devotee's made a cart. They go to every single, and in New Zealand, in Auckland too, every single Christmas fair, Christmas parade. Just like today you have your Halloween parade, is that right? I looked up what Halloween meant. It's got many different origins, as you may know. And tomorrow is All Saints' Day. So Halloween, because they were trying to bring in the pagans or whatever they were called, so they kind of adopted a little bit this pagan festival, something for the ghosts and ancestors and what have you. And because it was the eve of the next day, which was actually to honor to hallow the saints. Halloween means the eve before hallowing the saints. Halloween. That's what it means. So they introduced and they called it Halloween, which is today, but it's actually like, Christmas Eve or something. It's the eve before glorifying the saints. Nice, huh? Has some kind of interesting meaning, not just the usual one. But they kind of lost that one. It's all kind of weird stuff now. Anyway, Hare Krishna. So today you're going to go on the Halloween procession, is that right? Yes. And on Washington Square. Exciting. Do you know Washington Square Park? If you go into the annals, you'll see was the first place they did public kirtan. Hayagriva talks about it in his book, Washington Square Park. So there's a good chance. Plus you have your Rath Yatra finishes up there, isn't it? A great set, what can you say, how Rath Yatra. Now, we get Muslims in Malaysia so many times pulling the cart. They just run in and pull the ropes, They love it. And then Lord Jagannath is, in Africa they love our God. Many times people say, we love you, we love your God, he's black. We love you guys. He's mystical. He has this magic way of attracting people. No, I've never heard anyone criticize. I've even been on Rath Yatra with no Jagannath cart, no Jagannath deities, just the cart, and still people are mesmerized. It's mystifying. Rath Yatra is such a festival. Yeah, sometimes Jagannath got caught in traffic jams and didn't make it on time. We just had to pull the chariot with no deities. The more the merrier. To bring people together. He's showering his glance of mercy on everybody. Now imagine, how many people will you say, when you go to Union Square in a day, how many people see or hear the kirtan? Thousands, right? Now, Oxford Street, they say 1 million people a day are on Oxford Street, on average, shopping. 1 million. And every day, 2 times a day, the Harinam's going up and down Oxford Street. Not all of them see, but hundreds of thousands of them take a picture in their heart of the Harinam. And that never goes away. That is indelible. It's always going to be there. Gradually, the picture will turn into a form. It'll become real. So important to give people this chance. Otherwise, there's no way they're going to change their minds. Or their minds will change. They're not going to change their minds. Their minds are changed by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Exposed to the holy name. Mass, Sankirtan, distributing books, Harinam Sankirtan, Prasadam. There's unlimited facilities. Unlimited. You just walk around the block here, there's 100,000 people shopping or go walking around in Brooklyn, what to speak of New York. Everywhere. Phenomenal chants. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. They're the results of the curses of, you could say, of Daksha's followers or Shiva's followers. They're the results of that. People are so finished. Lord Chaitanya is now blessing them. This is the only blessing. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhuji. What's your good name?
My name is Matanga.
Pardon?
Matanga.
What's that? Matanga, that's right. I know we know each other. I just couldn't remember your name. Matanga, Prabhu.
I just wanted to appreciate one of the last points that you made about cleanliness, which is very important because Prabhupada, he himself said that cleanliness is next to godliness.
Even one time we heard cleanliness is godliness.
Cleanliness is godliness.
You can't be godly without.
Observing in my humble experience throughout the years is that it's always easier to put more emphasis on the more exciting part of devotional service, like going out and doing Harinam, chanting, meeting the people, decorating the deities, cooking. Everybody glorifies you. Oh, such a nice decoration, such a nice preparations we have made. But oftentimes we are neglectful on the other side of devotional service, which is as important, maybe sometimes even more important, as you were mentioning, keeping ourselves clean personally, but also the environment where we live. And Prabhupada explained how this is the hens philosophy. We want the chicken only that gives the good.
You want the eggs, huh?
Eggs.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's an inconsistency if we are, going on forward, doing only the good stuff. There's some kind of misunderstanding, inconsistency in our philosophy and our devotional service will struggle.
One time Prabhupada was in Vrindavan and, what was his name? From South America, one sannyasi, forgotten his name. He was staying in Bombay at that time and he came to see Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. I don't think he was a sannyasi at the time, but he became one. And Prabhupada asked him how things are going in Bombay. He said, not so well, Prabhupada, it's very dirty. Temple. And Prabhupada said, that means you're not chanting your rounds. He didn't know what he was talking about. Yes, Prabhupada, I'm chanting my rounds. Prabhupada said, no, you're not. didn't know what to do. What can you say? Prabhupada said, you're not. So if you were chanting your rounds, it wouldn't be dirty. Cheto Darpana Marjan, Prabhupada quoted Cheto Darpana Marjan. You'd be clean, cleansing. An actual devotee can't tolerate to see dirt. It means we're in a mode of ignorance, some degree. There may be other factors involved, but this is a general factor here. So let's do our best to please Prabhupada. Everybody knew, who was around during Prabhupada's time, knew that when Srila Prabhupada would come to a temple, practically the main thing he'd emphasize would be cleanliness. Not necessarily in the class, but in his going around the temple. Why is that there? Why is that dirt there? He would run his finger across the top of pictures. Why is there dust here? He was quite emphasizing. One of our godbrothers, my godbrother, Kula Shekhar Prabhu, you may know him, he was in LA, if you were ever in LA. He kind of drifted out there, but he was still associating. And he was the first devotee to get initiated in England, very first one, 69. And he had this thing about cleanliness. Excuse my legs, my hips are getting really sharp. And he said, when I first joined a few years later, he said, Prabhupada said one thing to me. He said, if you learn nothing else from this movement, he said, learn to be clean. Learn to be clean. And he said, I just took that on board. He was also in Kirtan, by the way. One encourages the other, and the other grows on the other. They should be inseparable. They both must go on. When we would clean, as I said, I don't know if I did say, but as we cleaned after class, we all chanted at the same time. Kirtan was going on while we cleaned. It wasn't one chanting here, one chant. Everyone was chanting in harmony as we cleaned. Kirtan was going on as we cleaned. It was ecstatic. Cleaning became blissful. It wasn't, oh God, why you keep having to ask? Get someone else to do it. Pay someone. One of the problems that's come in is, in some places, they pay devotees to do deity worship. They pay devotees to clean. This is an unnecessary, an unavoidable occurrence sometimes to keep the temple going, you could say. Unfortunately, it is sometimes like that. It may be like that here, I don't know. But in many temples, it's unavoidable. You know, it's the society we live in today. The government's supposed to facilitate Brahmins, but they don't. And it's very difficult sometimes. So sometimes the paying has to be there, but at least to much extent as possible, we should try to take this on board. Take it on board. Tidy up, clean up. Don't just think, another problem that's coming is, I think there's a problem, another development of our society is intensive specialization of service. It's not my job, it's someone else's job. It's all of our opportunity. Everyone has an opportunity. Everyone. So take advantage of it. Doesn't take much time to pick up a piece of garbage and put it in the bin, does it? No more time than it does to throw it on the floor. I mean, you can go on and on. This is like another session altogether, isn't it? Cleanliness. But Cheto Darpana Marjan, both must be there. And not only both, there are other things that must be there too. It is culture, it's a culture. But the essential, the primary feature or the result of all of this should be Sankirtan. And Sankirtan goes beyond just the realms of being on the street. It means complete. Sankirtan also means complete.
The worst thing is we go out and we preach the highest philosophy, and then people come to the temple and they see inconsistency.
You could carry that over in many ways. Dealings between us, our wasting of time, our attraction to mundane things, our behavior. You could look at so many angles there. It doesn't happen immediately. But the idea is chanting the holy name. We should be awakening this realization. It shouldn't just be instead of, it should be, this realization should be coming through our practice of chanting also. And the practical following cleanliness or rules and regulations and etiquettes and things should facilitate our chanting. They should be hand in hand. It's not one or the other. They're not at all opposed to each other. There's again, it's simultaneous one and difference. That's all. It would naturally be there if we're chanting, and if we want to see cleanliness. If you're actually following proper process of cleanliness, it should be a lot more naturally inclined. You're going to be more enthused to chant. And they should be together. But definitely, cleanliness and other aspects like that are they sometimes get neglected. I know you're in renovation going on here. Everything's upside down, so it's obviously much more. But I think you're going to be in renovation for quite a long time. Looks at it, you've got so much you could do here. This is an amazing facility. Okay, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.